The void around the human fleet seemed to boil. Black shapes shifted in the darkness, their outlines jagged and alien. Hundreds, no, thousands of swarm vessels closed in like a living ocean. On the bridge of the Erebus, alarms wailed. Red lights flashed across every console as the AI. Athena spoke in a calm but urgent tone. Warning. Hostile entities within 10,000 kilometers. Fleet encirclement imminent. Admiral Ryker stood at the center of the bridge, his eyes cold and steady. So this is how they fight, he muttered. They're not just attacking, they're hunting us. Lyrian, the silver-skinned alien. Survivor trembled on the medbay's holoscreen, her voice cracked with fear. You don't understand, you cannot win. Every ship you destroy, they will grow stronger. Run, before they tear you apart like they did my people. Riker's jaw tightened. We're not, Zayara. We're humanity, and we don't run. Preparing for battle across the fleet, crews scrambled into action. Railguns loaded massive tungsten slugs, each designed to punch through starship armor. Point defense lasers hummed as they warmed up to vaporize incoming threats. Missile silos opened, revealing lines of nuclear-tipped torpedoes glowing faintly in their tubes. All ships in War Group Orion. This is Ryker. His voice thundered over the fleet comms. We hold the line here. No retreat. Humanity's first. Step into this galaxy will not be marked by fear. It will be marked by fire. On board the Hawking, a young gunnery officer whispered under his breath, God help us all. The swarm strikes the first wave came fast. Hundreds of small insect-like craft darted forward. Their hulls were made of chitin and bone, glowing faintly with sickly green energy. They fired beams of acid light, carving scars into the shields of the outermost human frigates. Return fire? Ryker barked. The fleet answered with fury. Railgun slugs ripped through the first swarm ships, tearing them apart in clouds of black ichor. Point defense lasers sliced enemy fighters into molten shards. Torpedoes streaked through space. There. Warheads detonating in brilliant blue-white flashes that sent dozens of enemy craft spiraling. For a moment, it seemed humanity was winning. The enemy adapts, Admiral Athena warned. Enemy ships are altering their armor composition. Railgun effectiveness dropping by 30%. Riker's eyes narrowed. They're learning. Within minutes, the next wave of swarm ships had grown thicker, stronger carapaces that deflected human railgun fire. Their movements became sharper, faster, almost like they were anticipating the fleet's tactics. They're evolving mid-battle. Gasped Lieutenant Quinn. How do we fight something like that? Riker's voice was ice. By hitting harder than they can adapt. A desperate counterattack, bring in the drones, Ryker ordered. Hundreds of automated combat drones launched from the human carriers, swarming toward the enemy like a cloud of steel bees. Each drone carried a small fusion charge, detonating on impact and taking out clusters of swarm fighters. On board the Hawking, Commander Shao deployed a new weapon, the Tempest Array. Energy arcs danced between the arrays, emitters before unleashing a massive electromagnetic pulse. Dozens of swarm ships froze mid-flight, their organic circuits fried. The humans pressed their advantage. Fire the Helios cannon, Ryker roared. The Erebus forward deck glowed as a colossal beam of plasma erupted from its superweapon, slicing. Through a line of swarm cruisers, like a blade through flesh, the Hive Lord appears for a brief moment. The battlefield fell silent. The swarm retreated slightly, their movements disorganized. Then the psychic scream hit. Every human on the fleet clutched, their heads as an alien voice thundered directly into their minds. You are new, you are unbroken, you are loud. The view screen, something vast emerged from hyperspace. A Hive Lord. It was a living fortress the size of a moon, covered in thousands of glowing red eyes. Tendrils stretched out from its body, reaching across the void like claws. Dear God, whispered Captain Lin. It's a planet. No, Lyrian said through the medbay speakers. It's their brain. You've drawn its attention. You've doomed yourselves. The Hive Lord opened its maw. A sphere of pure black energy formed in its center, growing larger with every second. Athena, Ryker barked. Can we stop it? Unknown, Admiral, the AI replied flatly. Recommend immediate retreat. Riker's fists clenched as he stared at the monstrous entity. Humanity does not retreat. As the black sphere reached critical mass, alarm screamed across the fleet. Impact imminent. And then the void exploded. The black sphere of energy in the Hive Lord's maw pulsed like a dark sun. Brace for impact. Admiral Ryker shouted across the Erebus. Bridge, the human fleet tightened formation as the sphere erupted into a colossal wave of energy, sweeping toward them like a living tide. Smaller swarm ships scattered, immune to its touch. Shields at maximum, cried Lieutenant Quinn. The wave hit. The first strike, the Erebus shields flared bright blue as the energy slammed against them. Smaller frigates at the edge of the fleet weren't so lucky. The Valkyrie's hull tore apart instantly, its crew's screams cut short as they were vaporized. The Artemis spiraled out of control before detonating in a silent explosion of fire and metal. 17 ships lost, Athena reported coldly. Enemy weapon identified as psionic energy burst. Recommend evasive maneuvers. Ryker gritted. His teeth, if we scatter, they'll pick us off. Hold formation. We fight together. The enemy's true power on the medbay screen, Lyrian clutched her head and screamed. It's speaking to them, she cried. The Hive Lord is controlling every swarm ship. It's one mind, one will. You're not fighting a fleet, you're fighting a god. Ryker glanced at her with cold determination. Good. Then let's kill their god. The counterattack begins to launch all remaining drones, Ryker ordered. Focus fire on the Hive Lord. Break its concentration. Hundreds of combat. Drones swarmed forward, weaving through enemy fire. Nuclear torpedoes streaked after them, targeting the Hive Lord's massive tendrils. The first torpedo struck home. A shockwave rippled across the creature's hide, sending chunks of its chitinous armor floating into space. Direct hit, shouted Quinn. But the Hive Lord barely flinched. Instead, it turned toward the Erebus. Tiny creatures. Its voice boomed in their minds. You wound me how? Amusing. The psychic assault suddenly, a crushing mental force slammed into the fleet. Crew members screamed and collapsed across every ship. Blood dripped from their noses and ears as visions flooded their minds, earth burning. Families torn apart and the endless darkness of the void. On the Hawking, Captain Zhao fell to his knees. There. In my head, he gasped. Athena, Ryker barked. Countermeasures now. AI activated neural defense protocols across the fleet. Shipboard A is flooded, that comes with white noise and rhythmic pulses to block the Hive Lord's psychic. Attack. Slowly, the screaming subsided. Neural interference holding, Athena said. But the Hive Lord's pressure is increasing. Humanity fights back. Ryker slammed his fist on the console. Bring the Helios cannon online. Charge it to maximum. The Erebus' massive plasma cannon began to glow as energy surged. Through its coils, target the Hive Lord's central eye, Ryker growled. All ships cover us. Buy me 60 seconds, the fleet obeyed. Destroyers flanked the Erebus, their guns blazing. Missiles streaked through space, tearing into swarm ships in waves of fire, but the swarm adapted fast. Their vessels grew thicker armor and new energy. Shields shrugging off railgun shots. They're evolving again, Quinn shouted. The Helios cannon fires. Helios cannon charged, Athena reported, ready to fire. Do it, Ryker ordered. A blinding beam of plasma erupted from the Erebus, slicing through space like a sword. It struck the Hive Lords. Massive eye, dead center. The creature screamed not in words, but in a sound so deep and alien that it shook every human to their bones. Chunks of its hide ripped away, exposing raw, writhing flesh beneath. It's hurt, shouted Quinn. We can kill it. Before Ryker could give the order to fire again, Athena spoke in a tone Ryker had never heard before. Warning, massive energy spike detected. The Hive Lord is changing. On the view screen, the Hive Lord's wounds began to seal. Its tendrils extended and merged with nearby swarm ships. One by one, the smaller vessels melted into its body, feeding it. It's absorbing its own fleet. Quinn whispered in horror. The Hive Lord's glowing red eyes flared brighter than ever. You are strong, but not strong enough. Let me show you. Despair. Suddenly, a new wave of swarm ships emerged from hyperspace 10 times larger than the first. Ryker clenched his fists. Prepare for hell, he growled. The Hive Lord grew larger by the second. Swarm ships melted into its monstrous body, fusing like metal poured into a mold. Eyes, claws, and glowing red veins stretched across its surface. The void trembled as its voice echoed in every human mind. You are many, but I am one. On the Erebus bridge, Admiral Ryker stared at the creature, his jaw clenched. Report, he barked. Athena replied, her voice calm despite the chaos. Enemy fleet strength has increased tenfold. Hive Lord's energy signature is rising exponentially. If unchecked, it will overwhelm this sector in 72 minutes. Humanity's last stand begins. All ships, regroup around the Erebus, Ryker commanded. We make our stand here. Across the fleet, human warships turned and tightened formation. The Hawking's railguns fired massive tungsten slugs at incoming swarm vessels, each impact shattering an enemy ship into black shards. The dauntless missile bays lit up as nuclear. Torpedoes streaked forward, detonating in waves of white fire. Carriers launched swarms of combat drones, the small machines diving like angry wasps into the endless tide of enemies. This is Admiral Ryker to all hands. His voice echoed across every ship. We fight here not just for Earth, but for every world that dares to dream of freedom. If we fall, the galaxy burns. Make them fear us. A cheer rippled through the fleet. Even in the face of doom, humanity would not break. Earth joins the fight back in the Sol system. Alarms blared across orbital defense stations. Enemy signatures detected near Mars orbit. Cried a tech at Luna Command. But instead of panic, Earth responded with fury from the moon's hidden shipyards. Massive planetary defense cannons rose from the craters, their barrels glowing blue. Fire Project Helios across the Sol Gate, ordered President Reza. A beam of superheated plasma shot through the Interstellar Gate, tearing into a cluster of swarm ships before they could breach Earth's defenses. In Earth's orbit, massive defense platforms awoke, their weapons locking. Onto the swarm vessels, the planet itself roared. The Hive Lord strikes back, but the Hive Lord was not idle. From its core, it unleashed a psychic wave across the human fleet. On the Hawking, crew members screamed as images of their worst fears flashed in their minds, families dying. Earth engulfed in fire and the cold silence of the void. They're trying to break. Us! Shouted Captain Zhao. Ryker slammed his fist on the console. Athena, activate neural firewalls. The ship's AI flooded the crews, comes with rhythmic pulses and noise, shielding their minds. Slowly, the screaming subsided. Firewall holding, Athena said. But the Hive Lord is adapting. It will try again. Project Helios unleashed Admiral. The Helios cannon is charged, reported Lieutenant Quinn. We can fire again, but we'll only get one shot before it overheats. And let's make it count, Ryker growled. The Erebus' massive plasma weapon hummed as it locked onto the Hive Lord's largest eye. Fire! Ryker shouted. The Helios cannon erupted a beam of pure energy slicing through the void. It struck the Hive Lord dead center, punching a gaping hole through its body. For the first time, the monstrous creature screamed in pain. All ships focus fire on the wound, Ryker ordered. Missiles, railguns, and drone strikes poured into the massive creature, tearing chunks from its body. The Hive Lords rage you. Dare wound me? The Hive Lord's voice thundered in their minds. The creature's tendrils lashed out, wrapping around a human destroyer. The ship crumpled, like paper before exploding in a cloud of fire. They're overwhelming us, Quinn cried, humanity's roar on Earth. President Reza stood in Luna Command as reports poured in. Deploy the Atlas fleet, she ordered. It's time the galaxy learns what humans can do. From the Sol Gate, Earth's reserve fleet burst into the battle. Hundreds of fresh warships, bristling with weapons, jumped into the fray. The newcomers opened fire immediately. Energy lances and nuclear torpedoes lit up the void like 1,000 suns. The tide began to turn. On the Erebus, Ryker stared at the Hive Lord as its body began to regenerate. Athena status? The Hive Lord is weakening, but it is calling. Reinforcements from deep space? It's estimated time until arrival, 5 minutes. Illyrian's voice cracked over the coms. You don't understand? It's not just calling ships. It's calling the swarm brain. Riker's eyes narrowed. Then we end this before it arrives. As the fleet regrouped for a final assault, sensors detected a massive anomaly forming on the edge of the system. The swarm brain, Lyrian whispered in terror. It's coming. As the battlefield was quiet now, the Hive Lord's massive body floated in the void, ripped apart and burning. Human warships circled the wreckage like sharks, their weapons still hot from the fight. But no one on the Erebus bridge celebrated. Admiral. Athena's voice broke the silence, calm but grim. I have confirmed the anomaly detected earlier. A new threat is inbound. Define new threat, Ryker said coldly. Athena's holographic eyes flickered. The swarm brain, estimated size, planetary mass. Test. Unknown. Known. Time to arrival. 40 minutes. The horror revealed in the med bay. Lyrian clutched her arms tightly, her golden eyes wide with fear. You can't fight it, she whispered. We thought the same. My people sent a fleet twice your size, with weapons far beyond yours. They didn't even scratch it. Ryker turned to her, his expression stone. Zayara wasn't Earth. But deep down, even he felt the icy grip of doubt. Into the Maul War group, Orion pressed forward into enemy space. As they crossed the border of the Maul, their scanners began picking up the remnants of destroyed civilizations, planets burned. Black star systems reduced to clouds of ash, sir. Lieutenant Quinn's voice shook. We're detecting millions of derelict ships. Different designs, alien markings we've never seen. Athena added, each represents a species exterminated by the swarm. Analysis suggests the destruction of at least 14,000 intelligent civilizations. Riker's hands tightened on the console. Not one more. Ambush in the void enemy. Contacts, shouted Commander Lin. From behind asteroid fields and shattered moons, swarm fleets emerged. Hundreds of organic vessels charged the human formation, their weapons glowing green. All ships, defensive spread, Riker barked. Railguns fired, missiles streaked forward. Human fighters clashed with the swarm in brutal close combat, but the enemy kept coming. For every swarm ship destroyed, 2 more replaced it. Admiral, they're trying to pin us here, Athena warned. The swarm brain is forcing us to waste resources. Then we break through, Riker growled. The swarm brain calls suddenly. Every human aboard the fleet felt it. A voice not sound, but a pressure in their skulls whispered. I see you. I feel you. Little fires in the dark. You cannot stop me. On the Hawking, Captain Zhao fell to his knees, clutching his head. It's in my mind, showing me Earth burning.
Athena!
Full neural firewall, Ryker ordered. But the swarm brain's psychic attack was stronger than anything they'd faced before. The super weapon planned back on Earth. President Reza spoke to Ryker over a secure channel. You have authorization to deploy Project Helios 2, she said grimly. Ryker hesitated. Once we fire it, there won't be anything left, not them, not us. Do what you must, Reza said. The galaxy is watching. Push forward all ships. This is Admiral Ryker. His voice echoed through the fleet. No matter what happens today, humanity will be remembered as a species that refused to bow. We fight for every world they burned. We fight for Earth. The fleet roared forward. The Erebus Helios cannon fired again, vaporizing a swarm dreadnought in a single blast. Drone swarms overwhelmed enemy fighters, sacrificing themselves to clear a path. Human destroyers rammed swarm cruisers, detonating their reactors in suicidal strikes. At last they saw it, the swarm brain, a planet-sized mass of writhing flesh and glowing red eyes. Tendrils stretched across space, feeding on dead stars. Entire fleets were embedded in its body, like toys in a spider's web. Athena, Ryker said quietly, how much time do we have? 3 minutes until its psychic field envelops. This system, the AI replied. Ryker turned to his officers. Then this ends now. As the human fleet surged toward the monstrous world, The swarm brain spoke once more. Come, little fires. Let me extinguish you. The swarm brain filled the sky. It was like a living moon massive, covered in writhing tendrils and glowing red eyes. Its surface pulsed like it was breathing. From its body, smaller swarm ships were born every second, growing and flying straight into battle. On the bridge of the Erebus, Admiral Ryker stood still, eyes locked on the horror before him. This is what killed Zayara, Lyrian said quietly through the comm. This is the mind behind the darkness. Ryker didn't flinch. Then we cut out the brain. Final orders, all ships. This is Admiral Ryker, he said over the fleet channel. No more running, no more fear. We strike the heart of the swarm now. He looked to Lieutenant Quinn. Begin final attack formation. Yes, sir. Human ships moved like one organism, tight, focused, deadly. The Dauntless and Nova Spear led the charge, railguns glowing hot. Carriers released every last drone, flooding space with mechanical fury. The Erebus powered up the Helios to super weepnits, coils humming with deadly energy. Inside the mind, suddenly, the swarm brain screamed not with sound, but with thoughts. I have consumed empires. Silence, sons. You are nothing. Across the fleet, crews clutched their heads as visions filled their minds, earth burning, families begging for help. Stars going dark, neural firewalls are failing, Athena warned. The psychic field is penetrating multiple decks. Then Lyrian spoke. I can hold it back. Explain, Ryker demanded. My species once linked minds. I can push back against its thoughts for a moment, but it will kill me.
Ryker's
face went cold. You don't have to do this. I already died when my world burned, she said. This is the only way to make it matter. She closed her eyes and screamed. The shield of one mind, suddenly, the psychic noise faded. Calm filled the humans' minds. She's doing it, Quinn gasped. She's fighting it. All ships now. Ryker roared. The fleet surged forward, weapons blazing. A human frigate rammed a swarm cruiser, detonating both. The Hawking launched all torpedoes, targeting a vulnerable cluster of the brain's surface. The Erebus locked onto the center of the creature, the true core. Athena, prepare Helios. 2, Ryker commanded. Charging, she replied. 80 seconds. Into the beasts, but the brain was not defenseless. Tendrils reached out, latching onto ships. The Nova Spear was caught and torn apart. Direct strike teams to the surface. Ryker said, we need to weaken it from the inside. Dropships launched. Marines in heavy armor landed on the creature's surface, fighting through living tunnels and swarms of defenders. Inside, they found glowing sacks pulsing with stolen knowledge and memories. This is where it keeps the minds it consumes. One Marine whispered, destroy them, the commander ordered. Set charges. Countdown to impact Helios to charged, Athena reported. Ready to fire. Ryker stared at the growing wound in the swarm brain's body blasted open by Marines and torpedoes. Target locked. Target locked. He hesitated for half a second. Then fire. The Erebus trembled as the Helios cannon unleashed its power. A beam of superheated plasma brighter than a star shot forward. It hit the core. The mind shatters the beam ripped through the brain's heart. The creature screamed not just in space, but inside every mind. The scream of a billion consumed voices echoed across the galaxy. Its tendrils spasmed. The eyes dimmed. The creature stopped growing. Swarm ships suddenly froze and collapsed into drifting husks. All enemy activity has ceased, Athena reported. We've done it. Final sacrifice, but the calm didn't last. Lyrian fell to the floor, her body trembling. Her voice, faint and soft, came through the speaker. I held it back. Long enough.
Right.
Ryker leaned over the screen. You did more than that. You gave us a chance. She smiled weakly. Then Zayara wasn't lost for nothing. Her eyes closed. Signal went silent. As the swarm brain died, space around it began to collapse. Athena's voice returned. Admiral, the creature's death has triggered a singularity event. System is collapsing. We must evacuate. Signal all ships to retreat. Ryker ordered. The fleet turned, battered and broken but victorious. As they jumped to hyperspace, Ryker took one last look at the screen. The swarm brain, the horror that ended empires, was gone. But deep inside the void, something still watched. The void was quiet. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy knew silence. The swarm brain was dead. Its countless children, once unstoppable, now drifted lifeless among the stars. The darkness that had consumed thousands of civilizations was gone. But silence is not always peace. The cost of victory, the human fleet limped through hyperspace, ships scarred and battered. The Hawking floated on auxiliary power, its engines flickering. The Dauntless was gone, sacrificed to destroy a swarm breeding nest. Only half the fleet had survived. On the Erebus, Admiral Ryker stared at the cracked view screen, his hands gripping the rail tightly. "How many did we lose?" he asked softly. Lieutenant Quinn's voice was quiet. 73 ships destroyed, 60% casualties. Riker's jaw tightened. "And Earth? Still holding, sir?" The Soul Gate was defended successfully. No swarm reached the inner system. At least there was that. The last goodbye in the med bay, a single screen glowed faintly. Lyrian's recorded message played on a loop. "Admiral Ryker, if you're seeing this, then I'm gone." Her golden eyes seemed calm, her silver skin faintly glowing in the dim light. "My people thought we were the strongest. They thought we couldn't fall. But in the end, it wasn't strength that saved us. It was hope. It was sacrifice." Smiled faintly. "Promise me, don't become like us. Don't let the fire in your hearts die." The recording ended. Ryker stood in silence for a long time. Earth roars. When the fleet emerged from hyperspace near Earth, they were met with a sight that made even Ryker pause. The planet glowed with lights. Every city was alive. Every orbital platform hummed with energy. From the surface, millions of voices rose in unison. "Welcome home." Across Earth, the people cheered for their defenders. Children held signs with the words "Heroes among the stars." Old veterans saluted. The sky. Bells rang in every major city. The fleet, battered but unbroken, had returned, the aftermath at Luna Command. Ryker stood before the United Earth Council. "The swarm is gone," he said firmly, "but this victory cost us dearly. The galaxy is watching us now. They will see us not just as survivors, but as warriors." President Reza nodded. "You've proven humanity's place among the stars, Admiral. From now on, no empire will ever call us weak." But Riker's expression darkened. "Don't mistake victory for safety. The swarm was not alone in this galaxy. Something bigger is out there. I felt it when the brain died." The room fell. Silent. The final twisted. The depths of space far beyond human sensors. Something stirred where the swarm brain's body had fallen. A faint red light glimmered slowly. Tendrils of energy coiled around broken swarm ships, knitting them together. And then a voice whispered in the dark, "Fire will walk the stars again." The light flared once, then vanished. On board the Erebus, Ryker stared into the void on the view screen. "Prepare the fleet," he said coldly. "If fire walks among the stars again, humanity will be ready." And behind him, the banners of Earth unfurled. "Let them come. We are humanity." The end of the saga. This wraps up the story with an intense and emotional finish, while leaving room for a possible sequel or a new galactic threat in the future.